My name is Jake Carter, and if you're hearing this, then there is a chance that what happened to us could happen to you too. I wish I could tell you that this story began with something strange, something obvious, some warning sign that would have made us turn around and go home. But the truth is that it started like every other road trip. 5 friends, 1 car, a long highway, and a weekend getaway that was supposed to be nothing more than a break from our ordinary lives. It was October, the kind of cold American autumn that paints the trees in shades of red and gold and makes the sky look bigger than it really is. Emily sat in the front passenger seat scrolling through music playlists, while Ryan, our alone, was one of the most important parts in the gallery and passings that prayed the true love. Marxists, polishing, teapup, and heavy weights. Looking back now, I remember every detail with disturbing clarity. The sound of the tires on the highway, the smell of coffee from a gas station we had stopped at an hour earlier, the way the sun was beginning to disappear behind distant mountains. Everything felt normal, safe, familiar. None of us knew that we were already heading toward a place that shouldn't have existed. Around 6 in the evening, our GPS suddenly rerouted us. At first, nobody thought much of it. Road apps change routes all the time. A small message appeared on the screen saying there was heavy traffic ahead and that an alternate route would save us nearly 40 minutes. Ryan immediately told me to take it. Ethan said we should stay on the main highway. Sarah didn't care. Emily glanced at the map and shrugged. The route looked simple enough. 1 turn off the interstate, then a long county road cutting through forest land before reconnecting with the highway farther north. I took the exit. That was the moment everything changed. The first 20 minutes felt completely normal. The road was narrow but smooth, winding through endless forests. We passed old farms, abandoned barns, and fields stretching toward the horizon. Then something strange happened. The signal bars on our phones disappeared, one by one. No calls, no internet, no messages, just nothing. We joked about it at first. Ryan claimed we had entered some secret government zone. Sarah laughed and said we were probably in the middle of nowhere. Even then, a small feeling of unease started creeping into my chest. The road seemed too empty. We hadn't seen another vehicle for nearly half an hour. No trucks, no cars, nothing. Just miles of asphalt cutting through darkening woods. By the time the sun had completely disappeared, a thick fog had begun rolling in from the trees. It wasn't normal fog. It seemed almost alive, twisting across the road in long white streams. My headlights barely penetrated it. The forest on either side became a wall of darkness. Emily turned down the music. Nobody asked her to, she just did it. The silence felt heavier than before. "Do you guys see that?" Sarah suddenly asked. Up ahead, something emerged from the fog. At first it looked like a shadow. Then the headlines illuminated an old wooden sign standing beside the road. The paint was faded and peeling. The letters were barely visible. As we got closer, we could finally read them. "Welcome to Ashcroft. Population 1,327. Ryan frowned. I've never heard of Ashcroft. Neither had I. The sign looked ancient, like it hadn't been maintained in decades. Beyond it, the road continued into darkness. Ethan pulled out his phone and checked the map. His face changed immediately. "Guys, Ashcroft isn't showing up." We all looked. The GPS displayed our location as a blank gray area. No town, no roads, nothing. Just empty space. "The map's probably glitched," Emily said, but she didn't sound convinced. We kept driving. A few minutes later, lights appeared ahead. The town emerged from the fog like a ghost. Small buildings lined both sides of the street. A diner, a gas station, a hardware store. A church with a tall steeple rising above dark rooftops. Everything looked old, not historic. Old, like time had stopped decades ago. The streets were empty. No traffic, no pedestrians, No sounds except the distant hum of our engine. I slowed the car as we entered the town center. A large clock tower stood in the middle of a square. Its hands pointed to 8:17. It never moved, not once. "This place is creepy," Sarah whispered. Nobody disagreed. We parked outside the diner because it was the only building that appeared open. A dim yellow light glowed behind dusty windows. We stepped out into the cold air. The silence hit me immediately. There were no insects, no wind, no distant traffic. It was as if the entire world had stopped breathing. We entered the diner. A bell above the door rang softly. Inside, a handful of people sat at tables drinking coffee. Every single person turned to look at us. I don't mean they glanced over. I mean they stared, completely silent, completely emotionless. Their expressions weren't hostile. They were worse. Blank, like mannequins pretending to be human. An older woman behind the counter smiled. "You must be travelers," she said. Her voice sounded strangely rehearsed. "Long road tonight." Ryan forced a laugh. "Yeah, we're heading north. Just passing through." The woman's smile never changed. "People don't pass through Ashcroft." Nobody responded. The silence stretched. Finally, she asked if we wanted food. We all ordered because it felt less awkward than leaving immediately. While we ate, I noticed something strange. The clocks inside the diner all showed exactly 8:17. Every single one, even the wristwatch on the wall display. 8:17. Not moving, not ticking, frozen. I pointed it out to Emily. She looked uncomfortable. "Maybe they're broken." Maybe. But every clock? After dinner, we asked if there was a motel nearby. The woman pointed us toward a 2-story building at the edge of town. "You can stay there tonight," she said. "The roads aren't safe after dark." Her eyes lingered on me, especially tonight. I wanted to ask what she meant, but something about her expression made me stop. We paid and left. The motel looked like it had been built sometime in the 1950s. The neon sign outside flickered weakly. We rented 2 rooms and carried our bags inside. The manager barely spoke. He simply handed over keys and stared at us until we walked away. Around midnight, I couldn't sleep. Something felt wrong. The room was cold despite the heater running at full power. I kept hearing faint noises outside. Footsteps, slow footsteps moving back and forth beneath my window. At first, I assumed it was another guest. Then I realized the footsteps never stopped. They continued at the exact same pace for nearly 20 minutes. Finally, curiosity got the better of me. I walked to the window and pulled the curtain aside. A man stood outside, staring directly at the building. He wasn't moving. He wasn't walking. He was simply standing there, looking up, looking at my room. I froze. There was something deeply wrong about him. His face seemed unnaturally pale in the moonlight. His eyes looked almost black, and he smiled. I immediately stepped away from the window. When I looked again a few seconds later, he was gone. The next morning, I convinced myself I had imagined it. We packed our things, loaded the car, and prepared to leave. Nobody wanted to stay in Ashcroft any longer than necessary. The town looked exactly the same as it had the night before. Same empty streets, same frozen clock tower, same silence. I entered our destination into the GPS. The screen loaded for several seconds before displaying a route. Finally, we followed the road leading south, the same road we had used to enter town. For nearly 30 minutes, we drove through thick forest. Nobody spoke much. We just wanted to get back to the highway. Then the road ended, not gradually, not because of construction. It simply ended. The asphalt stopped. Beyond it was dense forest, trees, rocks, dirt. No sign that a road had ever existed there. I slammed on the brakes. Everyone stared ahead in disbelief. "What the hell is this?" Ryan whispered. We got out of the car. The place where the road should have continued was nothing but untouched wilderness. We turned around expecting to see the town somewhere behind us. Instead, we noticed something even worse. Fresh tire tracks stretched along the road behind us. Our tire tracks. But there was only one set. The tracks went from the town to where we were standing. There were no tracks entering the town. No evidence that we had ever arrived there in the first place. Sarah's voice shook as she spoke. "Jake," I looked at her. She pointed toward the GPS mounted on the dashboard. The map had changed again. The road we were standing on no longer existed. Neither did the surrounding forest. In fact, according to the GPS, we weren't anywhere. There was no location marker. No route, no coordinates, just a blank gray screen. Then, slowly, the device displayed a single message. Recalculating, recalculating, recalculating. We stood there in complete silence as the screen flickered. Finally, a new route appeared. The highlighted path led in only one direction, back toward Ashcroft, back toward the town that wasn't on any map, back toward the place that should never have existed. And as we turned to look behind us, we realized something that chilled me more than anything else. The fog was coming back, thick, white, endless, rolling through the trees toward us like a living thing. And somewhere inside that fog, far away but growing closer every second, we heard the sound of footsteps, slow, steady, and coming straight toward us. To be continued.